section, we're going to look at the handset drive option. We've already looked at the panel drive. The handset drive operates fairly similarly to the panel drive, and it's just on a different screen. So whereas before we clicked, or we already had selected panel drive, and this is what came up for us, and I put it in list mode, we're now going to go on to handset drive, and I have plugged in the driver handset over here into port A. You'll notice that there's no loco currently assigned, so it comes up saying not assigned, and I've got in my list ones that I can pick that I've already saved. We have the class 68 just sitting here. There's a 9F at the back and 08 as well. We can also select loco by pressing the keys button and pressing loco, selecting up to the 4-digit address, 2-digit address, 3-digit address, 1-digit, whatever it is from the keypad, and then the loco button will change from loco to enter when we're starting to put keys in, so we can press that. So I'll show you how to do that first. So loco, and you'll notice that the current selection disappears, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to key in the class 68, which we know is on number 15. So 1, 5. You'll see that they come in white, and then that loco key has now turned to enter, and I'm going to press enter. It's now selected the class 68. I can see it's the correct one. We can see its stats on the right hand side here. It's in reverse, speed is at 0, and then on the F keys there's 5 dashes, meaning none of the functions are activated. You'll also note as well on here that the A is highlighted in green. If I had further handsets plugged in, or I'd plugged it into a different port, it's simply a case of selecting which handset I need to change to assign a loco. You don't need to have the handset selected on here in order to use it. So you can set a loco on handset A, then change to handset B and set a loco while handset A is being used. So let's go to our list mode. Here's the list of all our locos here. I could flick through them, so if I wanted to change handset A to the 9F, I can click 9F, and there it is. But I'm going to go back to the class 68 on number 15. There it is selected there. Of course, I could put a longer description in as well if I wanted, which I showed in a previous chapter in the system setup. So let's have a look at the handset itself. Here it is. It's quite simple. It has a forward-reverse selector at the top, marked with forward and reverse. It also has the speed knob in the middle, which goes from a minimum speed up to a maximum back. It doesn't continuously turn. It is a end stop at both ends. We have the emergency stop button, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then we have the function keys from 0 to 4. Now I know that most sound decoders these days have up to 28 functions, so you can't get them all on here. You can operate them on the panel drive, but in a future update there will be the option to actually change the function keys to be your most used functions. So for example, if you've got a steam loco that has no lights and you've got function 0, you'll be able to select that function 0 does something else, like maybe a guard's whistle or a higher function. So you'll be able to modify that. You'll also note at the top there is a thing here that says radio. That was from a previous idea to make these wireless, but upon looking into that and seeing the certifications and costs required, it was decided to keep it wired and then focus on the links module, which will go with the ACE and allow you to plug in other handsets that use LocoNet or ExpressNet. And keeping it wired, especially if you're at an exhibition, you haven't got to worry about the multiple wireless signals around that could disrupt your control. So there is a direct plug-in. But if you do want to have your controller further away from your base station, which can be often the case on larger layouts, then you can either get a longer cable, or you can make those to any length, but you can also get, which will be out soon, a panel system which replicates the 4 ports on the back of the controller as a nice clean panel that you can put around your layout, very much like the NCE Power Cab, the Gauge Master system and the Digitrack system, where you have a plug-in panel around the layout. You'll be able to put 12 of these around the layout, or up to 12, and check on our website to see the development of this and when it's out. This will allow you to select a loco on the base station, operate it, and then unplug and walk to the nearest panel plug-in and carry on operating. So, coming back to the handset, I said about the stop button. The stop button on here serves or offers two functions. One, with a quick tap, it will stop the currently driving loco. With a hold down of the stop button, it will stop all running trains. It doesn't cut the power, a bit like the emergency stop on the base unit. All it does is send out a stop command. So let's see that in action. I've got the class 68 here. I'm going to turn the lights on so that you'll be able to see it operating. I'll also plug in to the main so we can see which way it's going. So let's change it into the forward direction. The cab light has come on, and I'm going to set it running by just turning the controller up there. So we can see it's running, but if we wanted to stop that in a rush, we press the stop button once and it stops there, and on the top of the screen here it says handset HS stop. Now the only way to clear that is by putting the throttle to 0. This is to stop accidental restarts and it's shooting off to oblivion, so I have to turn the dial all the way down, and you'll see now that the emergency stop has disappeared. So if I drive this in the other direction back to the start of the bit of test track, let's just get that out of view there. On this one, function 2 is the brake, so I'm going to press and hold that. There we are, that's stopped. Change it into forward. Now, imagine this and several of the locos were hurtling towards oblivion and you needed to stop it. I'm now going to hold down the stop button, and it's now changed to all stop. The only way to clear that, you have to now do two things to clear it. First, you have to press the emergency stop button on the base station. So I'm going to press that there. That has now changed to handset emergency stop. So because I haven't put the dial down to 0, I've still got to return that to 0. And there we are, the emergency stop has now cleared. And that is the driver base station, the driver handset, in operation. Quite simple to use, very visually simple and explanatory. You can have up to 4 of these, as mentioned, plugged into the ACE3 base station. It is the same handset that's used on the ACE2, so they're compatible, but please note that the plug-in at the back is only for a driver handset. It will not work with other handsets, and you can't plug the handset into other systems. So this was just a relatively low-cost way to give you a walkabout option for the base station. When the Links module is available, that will allow you to plug in other handsets from other manufacturers as well, as long as they have a Loconet or an ExpressNet connection. And that's the end of this chapter for the driver handset and handset drive mode.